You've been staring at the Tesla website for months. Your Twitter feed is full of Tesla accounts and experiences. You've been going over YouTube. You've been watching all the videos from all the different content creators out there who have just done amazing jobs of putting out stuff that helps people to understand life with a Tesla better. After months of waiting and planning, you finally hit the order button, and now you just need to take delivery. And as you think to yourself, is this going to be worth it? Is this an investment? We all know that cars are depreciating assets. So when you drop a lot of money on one, it is a big deal. I'm here to tell you that after 1 month of ownership, I would like to tell you 20 things about my 2020 Model 3 that I have come to love. And I will attempt to come up with 20 things that I think should be changed or I don't like as much. There's a couple of things on that list that I have just asked the community for, because to be honest, I don't want to do clickbait. I can't really think of 20 things on my own that I don't like about my Tesla. But there are a lot of people who have had experiences with the Model 3 that could use some changes. It's not a perfect car, but it is a great car. So I want to go over with you 20 things I've fallen in love with my Model 3 after having it for over a month. I took delivery in December 11th, 2019. It was part of that big Q4 push for those deliveries. I made the order back in October, and then I got delivery in December, which, as we all know, Tesla made a record number of deliveries in that quarter. Over 112,000 Teslas were shipped and delivered to customers, and I'm really happy to be part of that statistic. So, what are the things after 1 month that I have fallen in love with this Tesla? Well, first is just the car itself. The design, the angles, the lines. It seems like a very humble commuter car, but confident. I sold my 2016 Volkswagen Jetta, and it was a nice, clean, simple design, a great German design, and my Tesla Model 3 just continues to push that even forward. Just clean lines, minimal, and it's just got a great shape as a four-door sedan. So that's one of the first things I like about this car, is just how it even looks on the road. Second thing that I've fallen in love with this car is the glass roof. I love this roof. I live in rural Colorado. I live in the middle of the Rockies. I drive through Glenwood Springs, Glenwood Canyon often. I like to drive up towards Carbondale, Aspen, Redstone, and to be able to put the car in autopilot and to be able to take a moment and to look up and to see mountain peaks above me, see the Colorado blue sky. The glass roof makes the car feel bright and larger than it really is. It doesn't feel compressed. It doesn't feel claustrophobic. And that glass roof is a huge part of that. I love the glass roof. And my girls who sit in the back seats love being able to watch the clouds, watch the birds, watch planes fly overhead through that glass roof. Number 3, I love the frunk. Especially, I love the looks that I get when I put things in the frunk. I'm at the grocery store, I run over to a garage sale, open up the front, and I just put some stuff in there, and people are just confused and then get curious and they get really interested. The frunk has been one of the biggest talking points about the car itself, which has been really cool. And not to mention, it just allows a lot of more opportunities for the cabin to not be cluttered when you're going on a road trip. Number 4 is what I call the inception trunk, the trunk within a trunk. So in the back is the regular sized trunk. There's a cubby bin on the left-hand side, but then also you can pull up a board, and then there's a trunk underneath, another storage space. And I don't really know what it's, I mean, the frunk, you got a nice word for that, but I call this the inception trunk because it's a trunk within a trunk. And that just continues to make this a more versatile family car. We are a family of 4, and we are an adoptive family. And so currently on road trips or any opportunities I have to photo and video our travels, If I do have my children with me, I probably won't put that up on social media, just for the privacy of their own sake and for their situation and for our family. But because we are a family of 4, the amount of trunk space we have is almost better than our Highlander. And so this has been a great family car for us to use. And over the last month of ownership, we have not filled up the gas tank in our Toyota Highlander. And in fact, we barely even use it, which has been awesome on our budget. Number 5, the aero wheels. In pictures and videos, I was not in love with the look of the aero wheels, but now that I have it in person, they look much better in person. I have not yet removed the caps, just because we've been doing a lot of trips. I took delivery right before Christmas. We drove out to see family in the Midwest, and that was a 1,600-mile road trip. We have another long road trip. My wife and I have a conference to go to in Kansas City, and so we're just going to keep those aero wheels on there until we're really done with our big trips in this season of life. I do like how the wheels look underneath the aero caps. I've seen pictures and such, but as it is, I actually have fallen in love with the aero caps, and I didn't think I would, but I do like them in person. Number 6. So number 6 are the seats. And man, I test drove a Tesla once when I was in Denver, and they gave me a standard range plus because it was exactly what I was looking for anyways when I was planning. And I sat down in those seats, and the lumbar support, the heaters, oh my gosh, the bacon, turn on the bacons. The Jetta that I had, the seats heated up nicely. Our Toyota, they're supposed to heat up. It doesn't really heat up quickly. But man, in our Tesla, those seats heat up very quickly. And they're comfortable. On our 1,600-mile road trip we took to the Midwest, I didn't have any back aches. My lower back was just fine. My legs didn't cramp up. My wife has a really bad back, and so normally she sits in a car with a pillow. She still uses a pillow on the Tesla, but she doesn't have the adjustments as extreme as she would have if she was sitting in another car. So these seats have really made long distance trips very comfortable for us. We're also not very tall. I'm 5'10". I'm not a very tall guy. My wife is 5'1". We're not very tall. We're not big people. And so for us, the seats are more than what we need for doing a long trip and still feeling comfortable. Number 7, the cubby bins within the center console. I love the fact that because there's no transmission line through the center of the car, basically that whole center console area is just bin storage. And I use it for microfiber cloths, sunglasses, knickknacks. We have snacks for the kids. I've got my J1772 adapter in there so I don't get around and need it and lose it. It's just been a great car in terms of just having storage space for the things that you'd want in the cabin of your car. I don't have a lot of opportunities to do videos around my home. We're a busy home, so I'm doing it in my classroom. Turns out I have a really busy classroom at the end of the school day. So let's talk about the cubby bins. Number 8, I like how the dash, the lower placed dash with a single line air vent. It's smooth, it's minimal. The minimal look of this car is going to age very well. I think the fact that there's not a lot of dials, not a lot of brightly colored buttons that are trying to get your attention, this car is going to look just as good 5 years from now as it does today. And I just really appreciate the minimal design to make this car look classy and elegant without the pomp and circumstance of we're an electric car so we can fill ourselves with batteries and dials and gadgets. And no, they went simple and minimal, and I love it. I love to be uncluttered. I love to be organized. And so to have just the dash and a line for the air vent and the center screen really makes my OCD just feel really good. Number 9, the headlamps. Super bright headlamps. Driving my Jetta, so I have found out that my 2016 Jetta had one of the worst rated headlamps of any of the cars produced. However, I was very annoyed whenever I passed by drivers with the xenon LED headlights. It felt like their brights were on rather than the regular lights. But now that I have a car with those headlamps, I love it. And I very much appreciate it. And I feel bad for just being very bright in the eyes of the passerbyers. But I can see with so much more detail at nighttime with these headlamps, and the width of what they can show is great, especially for living in rural Colorado. We have deer, elk that jump across the street. We have cougars and bears. To be able to know that I can be able to see probably a little bit faster than in my Jetta, an animal trying to come up to the side of the road because of these headlamps, are just another feature of safety that really makes me feel like this was a worthy investment. Number 10, I love how large the backup camera is. The backup camera is very large, it's clear, it's not pixelated, it's not fuzzy, it's high definition quality, and the fact that I can record with these cameras is very convenient, and I love that I can keep the backup camera on while driving. Case in point, when I want to come park in my garage, I like to park as close to where the garage door closes as possible. So as I come up into my driveway, I turn on the backup camera and I can see the line where the garage door closes, so I can just park just there and after. So that way I can be as much space avoidant in my garage as I can be, because I like to work in my garage and I use some of that space in there. And that backup camera really helps me be able to get to an optimal parking spot in my garage. So being able to access that while driving is a great feature, and I wish other car companies caught on to that. Number 11, speaking of cameras, is just the whole integrated camera system. The Tesla Cam system is fantastic for safety. Sentry mode is fantastic. My little town of 4,000 people invested in 3 free public chargers. 2 of them at park and stops for buses, and 1 of them at a restaurant. One of them is a 5-minute walk from my classroom. And so there are some times when I'll park in that parking lot, I'll plug in, and then walk to my classroom. And then at my lunch break, I'll go pick up the car and come over, and I've charged for free. And the fact that I can put on Sentry mode and have the confidence that while I'm teaching, my car is keeping aware of itself, I can get alerts if there's some sort of event that happens, and then I can review that footage. Sentry mode and having those cameras and allowing those cameras to operate for Autopilot has been huge, and I absolutely love that feature, and it's essential to the Tesla experience. Speaking of the Tesla experience, number 12 is the software features. For one, my girls cannot get enough of the whoopee cushion Easter egg. I will put it on so that one of the knobs on the steering wheel will make the car fart, and they will just beside themselves laughing every time they hear the car farting, and it comes from different angles, and they're always trying to guess what's happening. And they still, I mean, my girls are a little young, they still don't quite get that it's the sound system. And so like, was it you? Was it me? Was it dad? Like, it's super funny. I actually really like the fireplace mode, the romance mode. My wife thinks they're kind of gimmicky. I think the Christmas Easter egg was fantastic. But on our big road trip, we were able to use Hulu. We don't have Netflix at the moment, although I do hope and wish that Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, if those 2 could get on there, that would be like the full entertainment suite for all of your supercharging needs. But to know that my car has old arcade games, it has all of the streaming services that most people use. I mean, this car is feature loaded with the software, and it absolutely shines when it comes to the features that you have in terms of what this car can do with the driving experience and with the charging experience, and just even in park, like camp mode and the romance mode. I mean, you can hang out in your car and it's comfortable. So I just think that the software features just really make this car leaps and bounds beyond other companies. Number 14 is charging. I plug in at home, and I only have a 110 outlet at the moment. One of my neighbors is an electrician, and we're gonna work together on putting a NEMA 1450 outlet in my garage in the near future. But to be perfectly honest, it's not even a necessity. My daily driving, or my wife's daily driving, is at most 50 miles. For daily driving, I commute 2 miles to my classroom, so it's not even really a big need for me. So to plug in at home, we get home at 5 o'clock, and we don't have standard use electricity rates or anything It's a flat rate currently that we're paying. So I'll come home and I'll plug in, and by the time we got to leave the next day, we've added 50, 60 miles, and that's what we need. However, Colorado is a very electric vehicle friendly state. There's a big push to get level 2 public chargers all over the place. Our town has 3. The next town over has at least 5, I believe. And then not to mention the supercharging network. Anywhere there's an outlet, I have a gas station. It has not been a problem at all for me to have charging needs, even on just a 110 outlet. Now, I know that there's a lot of people who commute 50, 100 miles in a day. I could totally see needing to get something for your garage or for your apartment complex, or needing to have access to a public charger somewhere. But in my circumstance, in my ownership, I have not had any concerns about where I'm going to get my next charge. And in fact, what I'm hoping to do is to start a video series of public chargers in rural Colorado and in Utah to show how you can explore the Wild West in an electric car, and to be able to do it comfortably and to do it with adventure. So if you continue to stick with this channel, you'll start to see some touring sites as we start to look around where you can charge in the Rocky Mountains and in the Colorado Plateau with free public charging or at KOA locations, which is just a phenomenal feature of this car. All right, speaking of charging, number 15, supercharging. On our really long road trip, this was a great reason to stretch our legs. We would be stopping anyways for our kids for bathroom breaks, stretching breaks. We probably would not be stopping as long as we do for supercharging, but we would be stopping almost as frequently, because often we would not gas up at the same place where we stretch our legs, which would be the same place that we would get food to eat. Here, we are supercharging for 20, 25 minutes. Our longest supercharging session was an hour. It was to go from eastern Colorado all the way to Silverthorne. And so we got our battery all the way up to 98% and had to do a high elevation mountain pass and then continue on towards Silverthorne. But within that hour supercharging session, we had a Subway, we got some dinner, we pulled out some card games, we had our dog with us, we walked our dog. It was relaxing. It didn't feel stressful. It didn't feel like, come on, we got to get going. We're heading home. We knew we'd get home at bedtime, so, what's the big rush? And it helped us skip the Denver rush hour anyways. Supercharging has been really nice that you just plug in and you just walk away. I know I have some family members who have some big brother issues with that. They're a little nervous about, well, you plug in the car and Tesla knows all your account information. And it's like, well, what's to stop gas station scammers from scamming your credit card that you put in? Like, these issues I feel like are non-relevant, but we've really enjoyed the supercharging experience. Number 17, Autopilot. I only have the standard version because I have the standard Range Plus, but even that is light years more than what I had in my Jetta. So for me, it's amazing, and it's more than enough to make a long distance trip enjoyable because it's a step more than what I've had before. And it's really great in bumper to bumper because it does speed matching with the cars in front of you. And so when we're dealing with the ski and tourism traffic here in rural Colorado, being in bumper to bumper traffic on I-70 or in Glenwood Springs, having Autopilot on really makes that just a little bit more bearable. Number 18, acceleration. I'm not a speed junkie and I don't care about hyper performance. I am not going to be spending $2,000 to get a performance boost. But my previous car, Jetta, did have the turbo, and it had turbo lag. So you put down the accelerator, and the car would, and then go. But here you put, and then our Highlander, that thing's like a tank. It's a V6. You're not even getting to 70 by the time you're off the exit ramp or on ramp for the interstate. But with the Tesla, with the Model 3, the smooth acceleration and getting to the interstate before I'm even on the off-ramp or passing a semi-truck without having to have any sort of lag, it is a huge bonus for road safety. And it just makes me much more confident of a driver being able to know I can overtake this car, or I know I can get onto the interstate and be able to merge already at speed. I don't need performance, but the fact that it already is a higher performing car is a great feature. Number 19, the screen. Well, for many drivers, the speedometer off to the side is a challenge in not being centered. I taught overseas in China for a long time. And during my time there, I got a Chinese driver's license, and then my wife and I bought a Citroën, which is a French brand car. And the Citroën had the speedometer on the center of the dash, not in front of the driver. And I had that for several years. So I was already accustomed to the fact that the layout is different compared to what most American drivers are used to. So for me, to have the screen centered rather than right in front of the driver is not really a big deal. But I love the fact that you have the large navigation screen. I'm not staring at my iPhone. My Jetta before did have Apple CarPlay on that little 6-inch screen, so it's kind of like an iPad mini. But even this is still much better than that, and I don't really miss Apple CarPlay at all. Now, especially that voice command allows text messaging. That was pretty much the only feature I was missing from Apple CarPlay, and now I don't even miss that. So the screen and the software updates have just been incredibly amazing to have for driving at night, for driving during day. I've never had problems with screen glare or with my eyes strain at night. I just found out I have stigmatism, so I am going to be getting glasses soon. But even still, I have not had issues reading the screen or using it to navigate. And last but not least, number 20. And it has nothing to do with the car. It has everything to do with the community. The Tesla owners community are a passionate bunch of people. They're very welcoming, and they're the kind of people who are early adopters. I mean, even now, electric vehicles are only like 1% of the car market in the United States or even North America. So Tesla owners, even now, are still kind of early adopters. They're adventurous people, and they're do-it-yourself kind of people. Got an outlet? Great, let's plug in. Let's figure out how we can charge. Let's figure out the capabilities of this car. Electric cars are a new thing. And the online community has a great sense of humor. They push Tesla and Elon to make better software. And the fact that Elon and Tesla respond to the community in that way is huge. And it's really cool to see how people can put out responses for features. Elon or the Tesla team can respond, and boom, a software patch makes that happen. The online community has shared their own experiences on supercharging routes that I would be taking. I put on Twitter, hey, I'm going on this route. What are your experiences? I will get responses right away. People who love Teslas love to talk about Teslas. And my wife will tell you she is ready for me to make some other friends who own Teslas so I can talk to other people. And I mean, that's why I'm doing this video. I love talking about this car. It's awesome. These are people, Tesla owners have long-term vision. You don't buy a Tesla because the price tag is so low, but what you end up doing is you're thinking about what is the long-term costs of this car. When I was getting ready to sell my Jetta, it's because I looked at what the last year and a half of expenses were in terms of gas and maintenance, repairs. We hit a deer elk once, and what did we have to cover versus insurance covered, and took that and extrapolated for the next 5 years or so. Like, hey, these are our driving habits. This is how we actually drive day to day. This is how much it's costing us. What is that going to cost us the next 5 years? The price of gas alone for where we live. I mean, right now, currently gas is around $3 a gallon. I'm not expecting that to go down, but this is the dead of winter. Summertime's going to come up, and last summer gas was almost $4 a gallon. I mean, the cost of gas in the next 5 years, based on my driving habits and the distances that we travel, would be more than what the Tesla Model 3 is going to cost me. So people who buy Teslas and the community of Tesla owners are long-term planners. They're thinking ahead, they're trying to plan for the future, and they're thinking about the future. So it's just really interesting to see the perspectives you get from people who own Teslas, because they shift their perspective on the cost of purchasing a car. Instead of looking at the MRSP of a car, they actually look, what is this going to be down the road? What am I going to need if, when I bought the Jetta, I'm thinking to myself, I need to get ready for if the transmission goes out or if the head gasket blows. Spark plugs need to be replaced. What happens if the timing chain gets busted? There's a lot of things that that have to be thought of when you're buying a combustion engine car that just simply are not part of the equation with a battery car. And so that is one of the things that I like about this community. Just shares their experiences in terms of total ownership, costs, driving experiences. And I mean, YouTube alone is proof that there's a huge community of people who are Tesla owners and want to share their experiences. Twitter is another platform. On Facebook, there's Tesla owners clubs that you can join, providing your VIN number, and you can join into those groups and have meetups and be able to do road trips and share local experiences with owning a Tesla. And so honestly, the best part about owning a Tesla is just being part of the Tesla community, and being able to share in this new revolution of transportation that is totally upending what people think of in terms of self-transportation, cars, car longevity, and even just the American institution of how we operate on the highway. I want to thank you for sticking with me for these 20 things that I love about my 2020 Tesla Model 3. It's not a perfect car. I'm going to be putting out a video on 20 things that I could either change or modify. I would not use the word hate. There's very few things that I actually dislike about the car. I mean, there's things I dislike, but hate's a very strong term for this car. And after 1 month, I haven't experienced anything that I've hated about it. But there are definitely some things that I could see being changes, software updates, or just design features that I could do without. That'll come at a later time though. But I would like to hear from you. Put down in your comments, what are some of the favorite things about your ownership of a Tesla Model 3? If you're waiting to take a Tesla Model 3 or you're thinking about ordering one, use my referral code and we'll scratch each other's back by getting supercharging miles for free. Post in the comments below, what do you think about owning a Tesla? What are your favorite parts about it? If you want to own a Tesla, what would you hope would be a favorite thing of yours? And thanks for watching. Enjoy your day.